afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Heartlands 2020. I'm Kath Scarth, CEO of AIMS Australia. Firstly, just some tech housekeeping I'm sure we're all used to now. Could everybody please put their Zoom onto speaker view? I'd especially like to welcome the Minister for Multicultural Affairs, the Honourable Ross Spence, who is with us today to officially launch the Heartlands 2020 exhibition. Welcome, Minister. I'd like to acknowledge the traditional owners of all of the lands on which we meet virtually today. For my part, it's the Bunurong people of the Kulin Nations, and I pay my respects to elders past, present and emerging. I think this acknowledgement is very important at AIMS Australia. We support refugees and migrants, so we understand the significance people place on their homelands and on a sense of place. That makes it so important that we take a moment to think about the people who originally settled these lands and the traditions and values they've passed down to all of us. I'd like to acknowledge and thank all of our other distinguished guests who are with us today, including Stuart Crosby, the chair of the AIMS board, and other board members. Much of what we see and hear in the media about refugees and migrants and emerging communities comes to us through the mainstream media. Heartlands 2020 is an opportunity for people from new and emerging communities to tell us their stories and present insights and perspectives of the world through the prism of life during COVID-19 pandemic. Our photographers and digital artists were invited to submit works that reflect, in some way, the experience of life under COVID-19 restrictions, while also referencing their own cultural values and traditions. The result is a stunning collection of authentic images and stories that reflect the first-hand experiences, challenges, achievements, and aspirations of migrants and refugees. We at AIMS Australia never cease to be inspired by the resilience, determination and ingenuity many of our migrant, refugee and asylum seeker clients show. And this resilience has been particularly evident during the COVID-19 pandemic and all of the challenges it has presented. And so the theme of this year's Heartlands exhibition, Stories from the Inside, is particularly appropriate as it reflects the restrictions and difficulties we've all been living with, but also speaks to how people have been able to adapt to overcome these challenges. This year we are witnessing a perfect storm, largest migration crisis in global history, as well as a 1 in 100-year global pandemic. The number of people displaced by conflict, persecution, or climate change around the world is now almost 80 million. Many of these people are particularly vulnerable to the health, economic, and social effects of the pandemic. Thousands of them are living in cramped refugee camps without adequate medical and other support, as we so briefly saw in Greece recently. So in this global landscape of mass displacement of people, terrible conflicts, polarised debate around migration, and now COVID-19, it's even more important to understand the journeys refugees and migrants make and the reasons they make them. It's also important to acknowledge the contributions that refugees and migrants have made to this country and continue to make even during this pandemic. We at AIMS hope this project are a window into the common humanity, that they transcend cultural barriers and they connect people no matter their race, religion, creed or culture. I'd like to thank all of our 5 amazing artists for contributing such stunning and thought-provoking work. I think all of these works convey a deep sense of the strength of the human spirit. So thank you all. We will hear from some of our amazing artists in a moment, but now I'd like to introduce Minister Spence to say a few words and formally launch Heartlands 2020. Thank you, Minister.
Thank you. I too would like to acknowledge the traditional owners of this land, and for me that's the Gunung Balik of the Wurundjeri people, and I pay my respects to their elders past, present and emerging. Well, good afternoon everyone, and thank you to AIMS Australia for inviting me today, and to Kath for your introduction. It's an absolute pleasure to join with you all for the launch of this year's Heartlands exhibition, a beautiful tradition that for many years has successfully celebrated and amplified the voices of our refugee and migrant communities. Our government knows that our state's diversity is one of its greatest assets, and it brings me great joy to be here today to see our diversity captured through art and photography. And this is the 8th year that the Heartlands exhibition has been organised by AIMS, and it continues to be a truly incredible platform through which our refugee and migrant artists can tell their own really authentic stories and the stories of their communities. Before we launch today's exhibition, I want to thank AIMS for the incredible work they do to support our country's refugees and migrants. As a leading provider of humanitarian settlement, education and employment services, it's really terrific to know that every year you assist more than 30,000 people to find their place and to thrive here in Victoria and across Australia. And I understand that AIMS has also played a significant role in delivering critical COVID-19 health and safety messaging to our diverse communities. And for that, we're extremely grateful, and I thank you for the work that you have done. This year, we've seen COVID-19 present really significant and unique challenges, and we know that our multicultural communities have been disproportionately affected. And we mustn't underestimate the impact that this has had and will continue to have on our communities. Can I also say that to anyone who has experienced loss and hardship during this time, that you have my most sincere and heartfelt condolences. In the face of such challenges, I want to acknowledge the work of our local leaders and our not-for-profit organisations like AIMS in creating opportunities for our multicultural communities to stay connected and to feel supported. This year's exhibition, being titled Stories from the Inside, aims to give refugees and migrants a unique platform through which to tell their stories through the prism of their own lives and experiences. And today we will experience the work of 5 incredible artists who were provided with an SLR camera and asked to produce photographic and digital artwork about their stories from the inside. And today's artists are from Bosnia, Iran, Vietnam, Afghanistan and Ethiopia, each with a vastly different background and experiences to draw on, yet all united as Victorians. I'm really keen to see how their work and creativity offers us an insight in how the pandemic has affected their lives and their communities. It's really unfortunate that the planned launch that was meant to be in a gallery in Melbourne couldn't take place, but I really hope to be able to view these photographs in real life in the not too distant future when it's safe to do so. But for now, I commend AIMS Australia for bringing this event to an online platform and for continuing to find new and creative ways to share these really important stories and perspectives with the wider Victorian community. So thank you for inviting me to share this really important event with you. And with those few words, on behalf of the Andrews Labor government, it gives me great honour to officially launch Heartlands 2020 Stories from the Inside.
Thank you, Minister, for those thoughtful and timely remarks, and also thank you for the amazing support to multicultural communities that you've provided. A minister coming into the portfolio not that long before COVID started, so thank you for your support. It's been amazing. We've put together a video that introduces our 5 artists, some of whom are here today, and we'll have a Q&A session with them in a moment. It showcases some of their work and you'll hear from them personally. So please enjoy.
Hey, my name is YONIS. I'm an artist based in Melbourne's West. My work has mainly been photography, usually accompanied by writing. The main inspiration for my work is my family and friends and my environment. For the Heartlands exhibition this year, we've been asked to present an insight to our world during the COVID-19 pandemic. What I wanted to do is create something that is reflective of my time during isolation. For the last 6 months or so, I've felt very local. I felt like my world has become a lot smaller, and I began to explore the spaces around me, even finding new backtracks or lookouts that I've never been to before. And this photo series I put together is very local. It's very suburbia, and I hope you like it. I'm honored to be part of the exhibition this year, the Heartlands Exhibition 2020, and look forward to sharing my work with you. Thank you.
Hi, my name is FATEMA MUKARRAM. I'm Afghan, but I was born in Iran. My family and I migrated to Australia in 2006. I'm currently studying a Bachelor of Photography undergraduate course at Photography Studies College in Melbourne. I'm really passionate about photojournalism and documentary photography because I see documentary photography as a tool for change. I don't want my photos to just be aesthetically pleasing. I like being able to tell people's stories, the hardships they went through, the challenges they faced. I was really excited to participate in this exhibition and this art project because being an Afghan migrant, me and my family have faced many challenges, and being able to resettle in Australia has been really difficult for us. Yeah, my images reflect life under current COVID-19 restrictions, things that we aren't able to do much outside, but also referencing our cultural values, and a big part of that is our faith. Being a Muslim photographer myself, my faith is a big part of my life and in my family as well, and I really wanted to capture that in my project.
Hi, my name is Ali. I'm from Iran. I'm a graphic designer and photographer. I've been living in Melbourne since 2019, and I've been working in graphic design and photography for more than 20 years. I'm happy for participating in Heartland 2020 photography exhibition. Actually, my photographic topic is about some COVID-19 effects on people. I was inspired by seeing people feeling lonely and trying to be hopeful during this challenging time. I hope you like my photos. Thank you.
Hey everyone, my name's Chris and I'm a 22-year-old student from the western suburbs of Melbourne studying sociology. And in my studies and in my advocacy, I'm really passionate about the rights of people from refugee and migrant backgrounds. So I'm really excited to be part of this year's Heartlands exhibition at AMMAR. And I feel like this year's exhibition theme, Stories from the Inside, is so important, especially in a time where we've had to remain socially distanced from one another. And so for my contribution to this year's exhibition at AIMS, I really wanted to take a closer look at my mom's connection to country, nature, and landscape around us here in the western suburbs, and to understand how important that natural landscape is for her, to find strength and stability in such a strange and isolating year.
My name is SAIDIN. I'm one of the exhibiting artists in the Heartlands exhibition. I was born in Srebrenica, Bosnia, the place of greatest genocide in Europe since the Holocaust. That has always been the part of my inspiration, the experiences of surviving the genocide as a 12-year-old boy and then witnessing the execution of my father in my 20s on television forever changed my life and made me into the human and the artist that I am. Additional philosophical reason and inspiration for the Heartlands exhibition for me is to try to inspire those other 12-year-old boys who are now sleeping on the muddy floors of the refugee camps and tents, that they too can rise from those muddy floors and be called one of the best artists of the country of refuge, as I have been. When it comes to the works themselves, these are some of the most exciting pieces of art that I have ever made. They are personally highly revolutionary because they symbolize the turn from painting into digital painting, which is a new theme in my practice. I would also like to thank the Heartlands team and AIMS team for putting together this important exhibition that I'm very proud and excited to be part of. It's a great show. Thank you.
Thank you. I think you'll all agree that that is an amazing collection. And who better to tell themselves a little bit more about the art and their inspiration than some artists themselves. So I'm very pleased today that we have three of the artists from the exhibition to join us: SAIDIN, Chris, and Ali. Welcome. SAIDIN, can I start with you? Can you tell us on a fundamental level, what inspires you to create art?
That is
Just
one of those
an easy question to start
things,
with,
yeah,
SAIDIN.
yeah. A lot of people have said that that it is actually very hard to say anything interesting about art. But for me, the art has always been the way of proving the glory of my father. I always felt intimately that it was important to work as hard as I could, so people will understand that the beauty cannot be destroyed and it is eternal. So when I was making it for the glory of my father for a long time, and then when my daughter was born, I realized I was making it all for her. Maybe among those things, I was making it also for myself. But art is a profound phenomenon in human nature. Art has a way of expanding human consciousness on personal level and collective consciousness. And with it can influence evolution of the humankind in general. There are a lot of motives and reasons why one makes art.
And so has the COVID lockdown made the process of creating it actually harder or easier?
Look, I said this before. I said the artist always retreats inside himself. So for me, the lockdown didn't change anything. I made 14 films on my own without anybody's help, highly praised films. And I've painted thousands of paintings. So, you know, there's a lot of isolation, alienation there in the community for a lot of people who arrive here. So for a lot of them, I'm sure felt they have been in a lockdown for a long time. I mean, when the mainstream community started not being able to go out and have cups of, 15 cups of coffee a day, when it became a big issue. But for individuals in the community who are focused and working, such as myself, really didn't make a lot of difference in that way.
Thanks, SAIDIN, for sharing. So Chris, moving to you. You live in Melbourne's inner west. How and where do you connect with nature? So much of your art is about nature.
Oh yeah, thanks for having me today, everyone. And yeah, it's so great to be in the room with other really awesome artists from refugee and migrant backgrounds. But yeah, to get to your question, I've like spent most of my life around sort of the inner western suburbs and sort of like different sort of natural spaces like Williamstown Beach or the Footscray Park or Yarraville Gardens have always been, yeah, such a wonderful space that I hold a lot of memories with a lot of my family and friends. And even just like, yeah, just like any patch of like natural, like those little gardens like near Yarraville or like behind people's houses are always, yeah, such great spaces to connect. Yeah.
And so are they the kind of themes that inspire you the most when you're creating art? Are there other themes that inspire you?
Yeah, so my background is kind of in like social research or like social policy, that sort of stuff. And so like I feel like my art extends into that space because it's kind of an attempt at kind of entering other people's worlds with empathy and trying to understand what's going on. And yeah, maybe sort of leading to stories that kind of inform and engage us about specific issues. And yeah, this was kind of reflecting on my mum's experience in lockdown and everything she's kind of been going through and sort of where she finds sort of refuge and rest. And yeah, I feel like, yeah, this sort of exhibition for me kind of really, I really related to what FATEMA said earlier about how like she really likes her sort of art to have a much more poignant message than just it being a picture itself. And I think it really sort of centers the experiences of people from refugee and migrant backgrounds, not just as volunteers or participants, but as voices that really need to be at the heart of decision making.
Yeah, such a great way to share experiences. As they say, you know, a picture paints 1,000 words, doesn't it? Bit of a cliche, but very true. And Ali, finally, thank you for joining us today. Do you think art has a place in helping us process the impact of COVID-19?
At first, I would like to say hello to everyone and thank you for attending with this exhibition. It's one of my, I'm proud to attending and participate at the Heartlands exhibitions at first. And actually, yeah, I think the art and design and photography is one of the challenging things in this during the COVID-19. And especially when we want to represent something about our feeling in our community and with people and friends, it's a good way to represent our feeling in as an art, for example, in as a photo, as a design. Yeah, I think it's very important to promote and represent our feeling about it around of us. Yeah.
Yeah. And so as an artist, how do you think you'll look back on this time? In 5 years, do you think there'll be something that sticks in your mind about this time particularly?
Actually, I think I try to be positive in everything around me, and yeah, I think I can do the best of in each position, in each work, in art or design and photography. I try to be well in everything that I can do. Yeah.
Thank you, SAIDIN, Chris and Ali, for joining us today, sharing a little bit of your insights, your world, and most importantly, thank you for your creativity. And I look forward to continuing to see your art as it develops. So that concludes the formal proceedings for us today. Thank you, Minister, for joining us and formally opening Heartlands 2020. Fantastic that you could be with us, and I echo your words. Hopefully next year we'll be back to face-to-face. Thanks everybody else for joining us. Thank you for those of you commenting on the web chat. That's been brilliant. I invite you now to wander through the whole exhibition, which is now live. You can access the gallery through the link that will be seen on your screen soon, or through the website when you registered. I hope you take time to view the images. Imagine that you're walking through the gallery as if it was live. Share the link with your colleagues and friends. There is a limited edition of each of the works for sale, and I say limited, so I encourage you all to get in early, noting that all of the proceeds will go to our wonderful artists. Keep safe, stay well, and enjoy Heartlands 2020. Thank you.